Hey there, I'm here with Dr. Tony Swinehart, biologist from Hillsdale College. So we're heading to the lake and it sounds really windy, so I thought we'd talk here in the swamp before we get to the lake. But we're going out looking for Petoskey stones, and we'll be doing some other fossils hunting over the next couple of days, so stay tuned for more.
Looking forward to it.
Sure is windy today, but it didn't blow away this pudding stone. Oh, that's a nice one.
That is a nice one. It's got red all around.
You gonna take that home with you?
If you'll let me.
Oh, they're all yours. I'm just along for the walk today. What you got there?
This is a monster horn coral. I'm not gonna claim that I found it because Rob sees everything before I do. But look at the septa on that. You can see the bubble-like decepiments around the outer margin. That was a monster.
Those pretty monster words you were just using there. Well, Tony's over here looking at the fossils, and right next to it, I just picked this up and put it back where I found it, but that's an awesome banded chert.
That's amazing.
That's a really good one.
That is amazing. Look at the fine banding in the white area, the other side.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's really cool.
That is one of the neatest ones I've ever seen.
Should we take it home?
Nah, just toss it.
Found an interesting Petoskey stone. It's Petoskey over there, and then there's a little horn coral right there. That's pretty cool. What'd you get?
I've always wanted to do this.
What?
I found a stripy rock. It almost looks cherty.
It does kind of look cherty. I don't think it is chert, but it's definitely a stripy rock.
Yeah.
What'd you find?
Oh, I think I found a decent Petoskey stone.
Yeah,
let's wet that one.
That looks like a nice one.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
That's what you were looking for today, right?
Yes, sir. Another water-worn rugose or horn coral. You can see the septa from the side. If you look, if that we were to cut into that, they would radiate like that, and then you've got some tabulae and decepiments visible down in here.
I like this area here. It's kind of cool.
Neat. Yeah, that'd probably polish up pretty cool. I think that's largely silicified.
Yeah, looks like it.
Trying to see if there were any. Well, maybe right in there. See if there was any cold water agate bands. I think there's silica infill in there. Not a very good one, but
no. But it's a neat coral.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to reenact this one. Uh-oh, did this go away? Oh, there it is. I picked it up like that, and I turned it over, and then I went, whoa, or something like that. That's perfect. That's really, really good. This is the only rock I wanted to take home from that beach with Tony. Well, that's not true. There's some other ones I would have liked to take home, but I wanted Tony to have some, but I really wanted this one. So this is the only one I took, and really glad I did, because this is just a perfect little Petoskey stone. This is dry, by the way. Okay, back to the beach. I just found a really nice pudding stone out in the water. And then this beach is great for Petoskey stones. So there's one, I haven't picked these up yet. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. I don't know if Tony wants some of these. Let's see what else we can find. Pretty excited about the pudding stone because I didn't expect to find that here. There's another little pudding stone. Yeah. That's not a good one. Here's a little horn coral. Another horn coral.
Another one.
Another one. That's a pretty nice one. Oh, down on that side. Horn coral there. There's horn corals everywhere.
Yeah, that one's not quite Rob quality.
Let's see. Not Rob quality? I don't know. That's pretty good.
not terrible.
It's not like that one I found a few minutes ago.
Rob's got really high standards if you haven't figured that out yet.
All right, I haven't flipped this one over yet. It's got potential. Let's see. Yeah, that'll you can grind that off. Then I noticed there's another one up here.
I found that one.
Tony found this one. Already looked at it.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Probably not Rob-esque, but
this one's a keeper though. All right, we're back at my house, and Tony, you've decided on this one to polish?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna polish this for my mom, Diane.
So that's dry. Let's see what it looks like wet. So what do you think about that black area down at the bottom there?
This mud here, I think, is pretty thin. I think that'll grind right down.
Yeah,
don't you?
Show the side, because I agree, but you can see it's all...
It's like maybe a few millimeters thick.
Right. That should grind right off. That's going to be a beautiful
Look at the definition between the coralites. A nice white contrast.
Yeah, I love that. Is that a crinoid stem in there?
Sure is. It's got a little eye looking out at you.
All right, so Tony's never done this before, so you're going to find out what kind of skill it takes to do what you guys are impressed with me doing. You're not going to be too impressed when you see a complete beginner come out with the exact same results.
I use power tools when I do it, like regular belt sanders, so this will be nice.
Yeah, you're going to like this. All right, you're on the second wheel now. Looks like you've exposed all the Petoskey on the stop. That part that was black is not black anymore.
There's an interesting fissure or something here. And then this is a little more porous in here, so that's not going to take a good polish, but this is.
Yeah, that side looks great. Well, that's coming along nicely. I think that's going to be a really, really nice one.
Yeah.
I think your mother will be happy.
I think so.
So that's dry after the fourth wheel. Any observations about the polishing process?
I think it's looking pretty good. You've got some eyes here that are filled with sediment. And
right.
Rob says that to get those down to where they're looking like these, you're going to have to go halfway through the rock, and there isn't much thickness there. So,
and sometimes it doesn't. It seems like it just doesn't matter. You just never get to the bottom of them. So I just don't worry about them. It's better if they're not there, but you know, what are you going to do?
And quite frankly, they kind of have a neat look to them. You know, to a certain, you know, you've got some without it and some with it. It gives a little variability, a little difference in color and pattern. So,
right,
not too big of a deal.
All right, 2 more wheels to go. You're almost done.
All right. So it's getting really shiny. You can kind of see the light, the reflection of the light, the light bulb and so on. But if you turn it kind of back and forth like that, you'll see where the sediment is inside the coralite. That never seems to get perfectly shiny. But if you can get the coral itself, that usually shines up pretty nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the bad part about that. It's just sort of dull in the middle of those, but that's looking good. 1 more.
All right.
So that's your first one on a cab machine, other than your belt sander method.
My poor man's belt sander, finish sander method.
So I'd say that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's got some interesting character to it. This little fissure infill. You've got a little crinoid stem over in that one, and it took a pretty good shine. You can see that lamp, you know.
Yeah,
right in the reflection.
That's very good. You're making me not look as impressive to everybody, because now they know that anybody can do it, even you, even a biology professor.
It is Abram grade, Abram quality, I would say.
Let's see the back again. Yeah.
I didn't spend quite as much time on the back, but it still turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Even
really
the
good.
Porous part is surprised. I didn't think it would come out quite that good, quite frankly.
Yeah, it does look better than I expected it to, too. All right, nicely done.
All right, well, I hope my mom enjoys that.
She should be proud of you.
I think she'll like that.
Just dug that horn coral out of the sand. Big one. No definition in the middle, though. It's fine.
That might be Abram grade. I don't know. What do you think, Rob?
I approve.
All right.
That's very good.
Cool. There's a big Petoskey next to it. Let's see, no. That's a nice plate.
I've never seen one like that big with that many really nice horn corals in it.
And then there's a nice big, I don't know if that's pseudo-arthropods or brachiopod, but a lot of nice horn corals.
Gonna take that to the museum?
Oh, I've got so many.
Oh, okay.
But
It is
a nice piece.
It's beautiful.
Ooh.
I don't want it. What you got?
No, not Abram quality. Check this out. You don't usually see pristine specimens like this on the beach. This must have just recently come out of the rock. But this is a brachiopod. It's in the order Spiriferida. It's Microspirifer mucrinatus. And these oftentimes come to a real fine point, which is probably where it gets its name mucrinatus. Like a mucra in science is often a real fine acute point, and but that's a very common one, very characteristic of the Devonian, especially the middle Devonian of this area. But yeah, that's a nice
for on a beach.
I mean, that's not hardly water worn at all. What do we got over here? You see that bumpy pattern? I think that might be those might be mammalions from the surface of a stromatoporoid. I don't see any zoecia. I was thinking it could be a bryozoan, but it might be mammalions from the surface of a stromatoporoid. But that's a neat fossil for the beach.
Yeah, I've never found one that pristine on a beach.
Yeah.
I found them other places, but not on beaches.
So this on brachiopods, you know, we talked about them in an earlier video about how they're symmetrical this way, but asymmetrical that way. What makes them particularly asymmetrical is, in this case, you've got a sulcus. I'm sorry, a fold, which is a kind of a convex bump, and then you've got sulcus, which is a concave sort of a channel right there.
Oh.
So that makes the top shell different from the bottom.
Yeah. Hey, it's the next day, and Tony and I are walking back to Rockport right now so that we can find fossils and he can use big words and impress me.
I can make some up, too.
I wouldn't know the difference. Well, we're here in the quarry looking for blastoids, which are small. Tony's laying down on the job. But we're looking at this real small gravel. Just a second ago, I unearthed this Petoskey stone. A lot of this stuff in this quarry. Some of it's huge, but we're looking for smaller stuff. So there's like little corals.
A small brachiopod that's actually full grown, so it's not a baby.
Oh, really?
Right. That's a full grown species of brachiopod.
Yeah, it's very, very small.
Yeah.
But yeah, really well preserved too. You can see all the little detail in it.
So if you're really interested in fossils and you're really interested in getting a complete collection of the fauna at a particular site, you can't just go around looking for the big stuff, walking around and looking from 6 foot above the ground. You got to get on your hands and knees sometimes, because there's lots of microfossils. In fact, if you really want to get crazy, you can collect some of the loose material and take it home and put it under the microscope, and there's another whole new world of microfossils in there.
Wow.
That's kind of a neat longitudinal section through a horn coral.
There's just so much little stuff down here. It's not 100% fossils, but pretty high percentage of fossils. Then there's this little, I don't know, slaggy sort of stuff around here. I'm finding pieces of clay pigeons and shotgun shells. These are clay pigeon parts here.
22 caliber shells.
So we like our guns up here in northern Michigan. But there's this slaggy stuff. I don't know exactly what that is. You find something?
Just more of the slag.
Oh, yeah.
Or we call them cinders. I don't know if that's the correct term or not.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's another little coral. Oops, get out of the shadows.
So this is a partial trilobite pygidium. Some people call them trilobuts. It's the rear end. This conical shaped thing is this axial lobe or the central lobe, and those segments are fused, unlike the thoracic segments. So this was all one piece, but you still have sort of the hint of segmentation on there.
And you said they like molt these or something, right?
They molt their whole exoskeleton. Yeah, there's more trilobite fossils than there were individual trilobites, because every time they grow significantly, they shed their exoskeleton. So a lot of the fossils you find are probably molts rather than real, whole dead trilobites. So this is one of the larger brachiopods, and I've seen it as Strophodonta, and I've seen it as Strophiodonta. And only one of those can be right, because when they first describe a species, however it's spelled in the original publication when they first describe it, when it's first discovered, that's the spelling you have to use. And I looked it up one time and I can't remember which one's right. So sometimes I say Strophodonta and sometimes I say Strophiodonta. But this is not a single shell. So both shells are here. This is the convex shell and there's the concave shell. So they fit together like spoons, like that. And these would have set on the mud, and this area here where the shell opens up is called the commissure, and they would have opened that up, and then they had feeding apparatus in there called a lophophore, and they'd filter out food particles from the water. So that's a really nice complete specimen. You'd often, out in the quarry further, you don't always find them nice and complete and inflated like that. So that's really nice for here. Strophiodonta demissa. So this is a different species of brachiopod, and this one's just one of the shells, or oftentimes called a valve, but we can call it a shell. Now in this one, it's a straight shell. It's not concave. But the top shell in this one would be strongly domed or convex. This one's called pseudoatropa. But one way you can tell that it's not a complete brachiopod with both shells is when you look at the inside of the shell, whether it's this shell or the highly domed one, you won't see any striations like the costae or on there. It's oftentimes smooth inside, and then you'll often find muscle scars and attachment points and that kind of thing. So the inside of the shell is pretty different from the outside, so you can kind of tell. Like if you were looking at that last one, you might think it was just one shell, but if you look at the convex shell, you'll see that it has the striations and that kind of thing, and you don't see these internal structures, and that's how you know you've got both shells instead of just one.
Here's a little sample of the kind of things I found in just a few square feet. That's a Petoskey stone, or hexagonaria. There's another coral here. That's a coral. There's a horn coral, coral. Brachiopod. There's one. That's a little crinoid stem. A couple of little brachiopods. It's a lot of variety. And that, like I said, was just in maybe 3 square feet. It's a nice horn coral right there. Tony spotted that one. Got to put our hand down there for scale. It's, I don't know, what, 3-4 inches long?
Yeah. And it's complete, down to the tip. If you tried to excavate that out, you're going to have a natural fissure there. And it's relatively inflated. Maybe later we can find some and show you how many of the horn corals in here are compressed. They're, flattened, which you rarely see. I don't know if it's the nature of the organic material in the rock that somehow affects the, maybe it's some humic acids or something that affects the calcium carbonate structure or whatever. But we find some that you turn it this way and it looks like that, and you turn it sideways and it's like that thin. But this one's relatively inflated, a really nice specimen.
Yeah, that's really cool. Another coral right there.
Faceted coral right there, yeah. And there.
Yep.
Another
horn coral up here. Yes, I had my hand over that one. So.
If you can't find fossils in this quarry, there's something wrong.
Right. There's a little crinoid, I think.
Yep.
Another horn coral.
Probably, maybe a stromatoporoid here, this big circular bit.
Yeah, this place is just fun. Just fossils everywhere.
Yeah. So here's another nice big horn coral, but and it wouldn't be hard to identify unless you turned it like that and asked somebody, what's that? So this is one of those flattened ones that aren't inflated.
I had no idea that was a horn coral. I just showed that to Tony. I said, any idea what this is? He goes, that's one of those flat ones.
It's a nice big horn coral too, but I've never seen them compressed like this anywhere else.
I've seen them flat, but not that flat. Well, I guess I just didn't recognize it as one, but I've seen them where they're maybe a 3 inches one way and then a half an inch or
in another rock formation.
No, I think here.
Oh yeah, this quarry, this formation. I in terms of other formations, I've never seen them compressed like this. They're always totally inflated. So, but yeah, April Fool. What's that? It's just a sliver of rock. Nope, it's horn coral.
Well, we got tired of Rockport. Or we were looking for blastoids, and we didn't find a blasted one, did we?
No. And we looked for fossil fish fragments. We found one.
Yeah. So it wasn't much to see. It was just a little blue speck, so I didn't film it. But we're at Partridge Point now. Going to hit all the fossil sites. So what are we looking for here?
We're looking for more of those blasted blastoids, but even maybe some large crinoid calyces like Megistocrinus or Dolatocrinus.
Yeah, those. Well, we've been here 5 or 10 minutes, and I never find good stuff on this beach. I'm like the loser that's standing next to the guy who finds something. But that is a blastoid, and it's a pretty darn cool one. That's all I can say.
That is a beautiful blastoid. So these are relatives of crinoids. They have a little bit different morphology. They did have a stalk, so it would have, had a stalk that would attach to the seafloor. And it's a type of filter feeding organism. Being an echinoderm, it has a pentamerous architecture, so 5-parted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plates. And if you look at it that way, it kind of has a star shape, 5 points or 5 edges. But not particularly abundant in the Devonian and most formations. Kind of like trying to find a needle in a haystack in most places. But in the Mississippian, in the next geologic time period, they become quite abundant, where you get what they call blastoid meadows. And so you can go to some Mississippian sites and pick them up like popcorn in some places. But in the Devonian, they're highly sought after because they're not quite as easy to find. But that is a beauty.
That's the best one I've ever found, I think. I have a bigger one. Is that so I have the big kind. I don't know what they're called.
There's a number of different species here, but this is not the same as the big one you're talking about. Okay. This one's different.
Because the other ones I've found are like half that size, or maybe even a little smaller. They're really little.
And then there's a big one that's like twice this size.
Right, that's the big one, is the one I found before. But anyhow, you can have that one, because I know you were looking for them, and I'll just put it in a box and nobody will ever see it again. So that's all yours.
Extremely generous. I don't know if I can accept that kind of generosity.
Yeah, you can.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You are not going to believe the size of the brachiopod it has found. Brace yourself.
Wow.
Look at that. What species is that one?
I don't know. It's even bigger than Megastrophia. Call it maybe Gigantostrophia or something.
Gigantus plasticus. We just sat down here and looking through the little stuff, some little gravel here. That's a bryozoan. What is a bryozoan again? Exactly, how would you describe that?
The colonial...
Oh, let me get closer. That's what this is, right?
It's a colonial filter feeding organism. These are fenestrate bryozoans. So the holes that you actually see are actually holes through the sort of the kind of a thin fan-shaped body of the colony, and the actual little pores that the tiny animals live in are on the veins in between those windows, and then you need a microscope to see those. But
so that's a whole bunch of animals right there.
Thousands of them that make up this whole colony.
Okay.
And they're a little filter feeding organism, but they do have like organs and stuff. So despite being so small, they're more sophisticated, more complex than things like corals and anemones and things like that, and even certain worms and that kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that looks like the base of a bryozoan or something. They call them, the common name for them is moss animals. Bryo referring to mosses and zoan animals, because when they're alive they've got little tentacles and they kind of look like a little moss.
Okay, Tony, what do you have to polish tonight?
Well, this is like a crinoid hash, and so it doesn't look like much right now. It doesn't look like it would be very cool or anything you want to spend some time on, but when you get it wet, it's got that classic really dark matrix.
Yeah.
And those crinoid ossicles just pop, those crinoid stem pieces. And so we thought that one might be kind of neat to polish up. You see the Cladipora and the Petoskey, but you don't oftentimes see these polished. So I thought it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I've never polished one like that, so I think it will be cool. So let's do it.
All right. Okay, so we finished polishing this one. I think you can see what Rob's lamp looks like in the reflection. And turned out pretty nicely, I think. You can still see some whole, full circle crinoid columnals or ossicles. I think we lost some of the full round on the front as we ground off some of the bad parts. We ground off some of the fossil as well, but there's still some complete ones in there. But the contrast with that dark matrix and the white crinoids is really neat. There's some soft spots in the matrix that you're never going to get perfectly shiny, but still ends up being a really cool looking polished fossil hash.
I got to find one of those now because that's really cool. Hey, if you'd like to see more from Tony, we got together, a year or so ago in your lab?
Something like that, maybe even last fall, I can't remember. Yeah, but maybe about a year.
And Tony showed us how to prep fossils. We did another video where he showed how to identify fossils. So if you'd like to see that, I learned a lot. I think you will too. So click on this video and we'll see you over there.